Welcome to Roll and Relax. So today we want to do some work on the hips. And you might have heard this kind of like, oh, we store our emotions in the hips. I've heard that so many times. So I don't know if that's true or not. I know that we tend, when anxiety or tension, our whole gut, like we have like fearful emotions. Often we also have positive emotions. So I don't know if we store them in the hips or not. But what I do know is that the hips can get really tight. So start by just doing a little bit of, before we get on the balls, just sit cross-legged and just check in. So I'm sitting on a little blanket because for me, if you have a blanket, I don't have a lot of external hip opening. So when my knees are very high, which means when I sit cross-legged, like my back is rounded, or I have to make grip so much with my inner thighs. So for me, I usually sit on a bolster or a little blanket. But this is just to kind of check in how your hips are feeling. And if you can, cross them so that your feet are under your knees. So even like I would actually need to sit a little higher. So just take a few breaths right here. Flex your feet, and you can, if you can, bring your shins to a parallel position so that your legs are building a triangle, so to speak. And then just relax. Maybe close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. And you can sigh it out on the exhale. No one can hear you, so you can make as much noise as you want. And then let's switch the crossing. So we all have a habitual way of crossing our legs. So just kind of noticing how your hips are feeling. Is there already any kind of tightness when you sit this way? So no judgment, just kind of noticing what's going on. And then, so today we will, so everybody, if you don't have the yoga tune-up balls yet, then please, they're called tune-up fitness. Oh, now I feel a stretch in my hips. Get these balls and get the gorgeous one. These are really the best balls. You can also, if you don't have those, substitute with any kind of air-filled ball. We don't need this one today, unless you're very sensitive. We will be using these, and if you have, so I had some requests yesterday. Some of you have the whole, here, let me show you, oops. Some of you have the whole, they have a whole like tote bag that comes with all the balls. So if you have that, you also have the plus balls. They're a little bigger, and then you also have the alpha ball, which is like the biggest. So there's 3 different sizes. This is the amount of pressure of a fist. If you think of a human body, kind of pressure. This one is like an elbow, and then the little ones are the thumbs. And since we use it doing the hips, and the hips can be tight, we will be using, most of the time we will be using these together and one at a time. But if you feel this is like way too painful or too intense, you can either, use the bigger ones, the plus ones, or the alpha one if you have it. So not for the very first move that we will be doing, you will need 2 balls, but if you only have one, then just use one, right? So you can always change this, right? So don't get too worried if you don't have the right balls. But I'm just saying, for the hips, I really like the alpha ball too. It's really nice. And you can also go to the wall. So for any of the stuff that we're doing, you can go to the wall. Let me see if I can show you. Let me see. I'm just going to show that with this one because it's easier, and I would have to probably move my computer. I have not really tested how you can see this, but yeah, let me see. So basically, can you see this? So let's say we're doing this, we're doing here the side, we're doing here the gluteus medius, like this area around this whole fluffy, the buttocks and the hips. So you can always place the ball, make sure you don't have socks on so that you're not slipping away. You want to be barefoot. And then you can just step away from the wall. You can, you can do these things. So you can do all of the stuff at the wall with, it's easier when the ball's on the shoulder if you use the alpha ball, the bigger one, or a tennis ball, right? So you can really, and then the further away you step from the wall, the more pressure, and the closer you get, the less. So hope this makes sense. I will be doing everything on the floor, but I really want you to honor your own body and not kind of, if it's really painful, then I don't want you to do it on the floor, because this is not what it's about. You want to have the good pain. You want the good pain. You don't want the bad pain. Okay, so let's get started. I will be using, for the first one, I will be using the little balls, the tune-up, yoga tune-up balls, and take them out of the tote. And then we will be, let me see if I can, so it's basically, the piriformis is a muscle that runs this way here. So we will be putting the balls, so don't be too concerned like where exactly, if they're a little higher, you just find a spot that is kind of, that feels tender, and you can always experiment a little bit. So I hope you can, it's always a negotiation how I place my mat, how you can see it. Let me see, maybe I turn it more parallel. Too much stuff here. And then you get onto your back. So you place those balls side by side. So I don't know, so they're like this, they can be right together basically. That's what you're doing. They're placing them on that lower buttock area. So kind of right where the sacrum is. Place your feet flat on the ground to start and just breathe into the balls and just see if there's an area that's tight. If not, maybe move them a little higher, a little lower. And then place the soles of the feet together and let your knees drop to the side. So like a butterfly position. And again, it's always good to check in and breathe. You can always move the balls a little higher, a little, but it's basically, you know when you have a good spot. And then begin to shimmy your hips side to side. So when you do that, the balls will travel. Eventually, they will travel a little to the outside of the hips, right? At some point, you have to reset them. So just shimmy your hips side to side. And you will notice that the balls will move toward the outside of the hips. If you only have one ball, then we will be doing this in a second with one ball. All right. And then place them. Now take one ball out. So I'm just doing one. And then, so I'm doing my left side. So you can see that the right leg will be flat, foot will be flat on the floor, and the left one will be doing this butterflying. So you relax that left knee to the side and see immediately I feel more pressure. Yeah. So again, you can breathe, just relax for a moment. And then do that rolling again. So you're using your right leg to kind of push and pull. So the ball will travel. So again, if this is too much with this little one, and if you have one of the bigger ones, you can definitely use, the plus ones are good for this too, especially if you have any real, like if it really hurts there. So just moving. And if you have a juicy spot, you can also stay there and maybe contract your buttocks and then release, contract, release. You can always stay in a good spot. There's no need to move. If you have a good spot right now, I have a really good, nice spot. Just stay there and breathe into it. So basically what you're doing, let me see, it's kind of, you're going from here to the outside. So the ball is either you're staying anywhere in a good juicy spot, or you moving your hips so that the ball travels kind of parallel, like as if it's drawing a line across your buttocks. And then of course we will do the other side. So I don't even know if you can see the ball. So you place it, it's not on the top of the pelvis, it's kind of toward the bottom of the pelvis. Oops, now one of my balls escaped. So I'll drop that knee. I don't think you can see the ball. Yeah, there you can see it. So I started this class because I really realized that my own self-care routine was going out the window now that I can't go to my yoga studio. So I wasn't really doing much. And I love that I'm now working out with you guys together, not working out, but that we're relaxing and rolling, and it's so nice, right? And I live by myself, so, sometimes it can get lonely, and this is a great way to, while I don't really see you, it's a great way to communicate, to stay in community. Yeah, and if you have a good spot, you can always stay there. Just let that ball nuzzle into those tense tissues. So when you press on something, you know, it's like, think of squeezing a sponge, right? When you release it, it's like all that, it's like, it opens up like as if the water can come back in. So when you dry it out and it kind of can fill again with fresh water, and maybe that was not a good analogy, I just realized, but it's kind of, think of that squeezing on one spot. Okay. All right. So for the next one, we will use 2 balls. And if you use you can definitely use the alpha ball for that next one. And maybe have a blanket or a block for the head. So I have my little book here because sometimes I want to make sure I remind myself. So it's good to have a block for your head you can rest your head on. And we will put the balls, so side by side. Let me see. So they're kind of going right here, right on the side. And again, if you use the alpha ball, this one, you can just use the one ball here. And if you have the small ones, I can also use the small ones. We will put them basically right here. Kind of where you like a hygiene pocket would be, a little bit toward the front of that. And then, so you place them there. And you can keep them in the tote. I like them separated because I feel like it's a little bit more, oops. So you place them, so they're horizontal, right? And then you, so you stretch out that, so I'm doing the right side, stretch out the right leg, and then place the left foot on the floor. Ooh. And now this is like the gluteus medius area. So now what I'm doing, I don't think you can see it, but I'm isometrically pressing the outer edge of my right foot into the floor, as if I'm trying to push my right leg through the floor, which doesn't work, but that's activating the gluteus medius. So and then you release that. So you don't really see much, you're just activating that right leg and then release and push. Release to the block is just nice, because otherwise, you know, your head is this way. So you don't necessarily need one, but if you have a block or a blanket or a cushion or something, you can put your head on. Release. And then I think I need to change the angle so that you can see what I'm doing with my foot. And then you will, I have too many balls lying here. All right, push all that to the side. I'm gonna scooch up a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So you point and flex that foot. You can also, I just like to sometimes shimmy my hips and just find like a good spot. And the balls, if you have two, they might fall, like wander apart, so put them back together. Yeah. And if you can also come up on your forearm. Do a little bit of this, up and down. Feels so nice. Again, if you have two balls, you can also put them in the tote. Ideally, the more you do this directly on skin, the more grip you get. So I really like to do this on skin, but obviously you can't be naked here. So if you have your video off, you can do whatever you want. All right, and then the next one, I have to reset mine. So I'm doing a right side. So lifting that right leg up. So you're doing something called adduction. So you're moving the right leg toward the midline, toward the center of the body. Ooh. And again, please do this at the wall or roll at the wall if it's too much, or use bigger balls if you have bigger ones. All right. And then just, really what feels good. It's like all these like areas are tight. Okay. And then let's switch to the other side. Okay. So you place the balls again just to make sure. So they're kind of going right here. So they're more toward the back, but they're on that kind of top of the buttocks right here. And again, as long as you feel something, that's really what you want to worry about. Not worry, but that's what you want to focus on. Find an area where you feel something. If you don't feel anything, there's no pressure, no, you're like, oh, this feels like I don't even feel the balls, then move to another area. And then it's nice to have the head on a block or a cushion. And then we just start by noticing, relaxing, breathing into that. Oh. It's always good to start with very little movement and just relax. And then start by activating. So I'm pressing the outer edge, like karate chopping the outer edge of my left foot into the mat, and then release it. So you're engaging that leg. So the gluteus medius is a muscle that, so if you do this, like here, this is what the gluteus medius does. So it helps us abduct the leg. So when you press that left side into the floor, the one that you're on, right? I'm on the left side. So if you're whatever side you're on, press that foot as if you're trying to cut through the floor. That's how you activate it. And then point and flex. And you can. So point and flex your foot. And then the other one I liked it. So it's like, this is like the most intense really when you lift that leg up. Now you're adducting it, like addition versus abducting. So you're moving toward the midline. Don't forget to breathe. Okay. And then it's also, you know, you can just roll around on the hips. You can even, sometimes I like to do it like this too. Okay, so next thing I wanted to do, let me refresh my memory. I had planned oh yeah, I forgot something. I forgot one move that I really like. Oh, I forgot that one. Let's do that. So we have to come back. Let's do the side that we're on right now, but I forgot that one. Even though I love that one, I don't know, I forgot. I'm not really fully awake, I guess. So bicycling with that leg, right? So I'm on the left side, so you're as if you're bicycling. That's a really good move too here. So you're making big, big circles. So this is kind of what my chiropractor calls this pressure plus motion. You're pressing into a muscle and you're moving it through a range of different motions, right? So you're activating it. That's when you get the most bang for your buck, so to speak. Okay, and then other side. Let's go back to the first side. Forgot the bicycle. Okay, so doing big circles. You can use that bottom arm to kind of hold yourself in place. Big circles. And please, again, I'm doing this daily. I'm really, when I first started doing this thing, I could have not done this, especially if you have new balls. New balls are way harder than balls that you've had for a long time, for a longer time. So now we want to work on a muscle called tens. Oh God, I can never pronounce that. I shouldn't say that. It sounds like latte at the end, like a delicious coffee, which I'm going to drink after this. And it's kind of like right here, like in the front, that hip flexor area right here. So we will put the balls, it's more toward the front of the hips, side by side. And then you have that leg and then you put the other one on top. Does that make sense? So it's kind of the hip flexor area. Hi, Joy. And then it's a little bit of a trickier move, but you're gonna be like twisted toward that front area here. So as if you're kind of doing a half plank, forward arm plank. And then just shimmy side to side. You can also put your knee down if that's easier. You want to kind of roll toward the front and the back a little bit. So you're doing this pivoting. This is, oh, this feels good. Again, you can put your knee on the floor. So whatever, but you want to make, yeah, maybe I show you, you kind of want to have the balls roll a little bit right here in this area here. And again, if you have the alpha ball, this is a really good one to do with the alpha ball, with this big one. You can also point and flex that lower leg. It's a little bit harder to do as a move, but yeah, like if you do it this way, it's easier to point and flex. Okay, and then other side. What are we on time? Okay, yeah. So you stretch out that lower leg and then you use the top leg. And I don't have mine on the mat. It's easier if it's on the sticky mat. So I have the slippery hardwood floors. And you put this knee down too, which works too. And your torso is more rotated toward the mat. So again, you can use one ball, you can point and flex that leg that you're on, that side, the straight leg. So you can point and flex that creates kind of a up and down motion. Or you can use the two balls. And if you can always use one of the little ones, but that might be too much. So you're pointing and, oh yeah, these are definitely more intense. So the little guys, oh, I feel something right here. Ooh, wow. Ah, breathe. I'm talking to myself, obviously, as much as I talk to you. Don't forget to breathe. So this is a good spot. So the little ones are definitely more intense. So that's how you can reduce tension, pressure, going from one ball to two, going to a bigger ball, going to older balls that are softer, or going to the ball. So there's always ways to make it. The most intense is one ball, like one of the little ones, on the floor with your whole body weight, right? That's how you get the most. Actually, I felt the two balls more in a moment, just a second ago. Okay, last thing we're gonna do, and we will do more of that another time, IT band. So, right, IT band, who has ever heard of a relaxed IT band? It's this huge muscle, and it has a tendon in the middle. So it's this huge outer part of the leg. And for most of us, that's tense. So come to the side, lay down. So this is the good part. This is the best part about this. And then, so the IT band, you know, any part of this. So I like to start on the top part with two balls. So if you can stack your knees, and you can actually don't have them 90 degrees, maybe a little like this. Ooh, yeah. If you can, if this is too much, then you just put the other one either like, you know, like this way, or you just scissor it behind it. But if you can stack them, which is obviously more pressure, oh, and then you can just roll a little bit, or you can just do this with your legs. So any kind of movement you want to add to get those balls traveling around the IT band. My chiropractor, when I do see him, he has like a machine, like a massage machine with different heads, and the tiniest one is Draco. He has given them names. I think Arnold is the second intense one. Yeah, and you can't even go with Draco or with like a really pointy thing on the IT band. But yeah, this one is, if you have back pain, or I have sciatica since my early 20s on both sides. So I'm really good with my yoga, and I do Pilates and lots of exercise. So I'm really keeping it in check. But a lot of times when my lower back hurts, my right lower back, you know, most doctors just treat that area. But in fact, we did feet yesterday, right? So if your feet are tense, or you're not rolling the foot off properly, or one is like, for me, my left toe, I can't flex that much than my right. So any imbalances will travel up your body. And so if you have tightness in your IT bands, and he also works a lot on the inner groins, so this is also related to anxiety, like all these the gracilis, all these muscles here, that will throw your lower back off. So he does, like when I have a 1 hour session with him, and then here, move the balls a little. Ooh, ooh, ah. Yeah, this is intense. So just, you know, again, if it's too much, I can tolerate it. I definitely feel this. I don't even have to do any movement. I just put the balls and don't move. Moving adds always more. So it's a good way. If you feel enough this way, you don't have to do any movement. Just let them rest and muscle into the muscle. But yeah, when 1 hour with my chiropractor, at the very end, he lets me walk in between, and then at the very end, he gently adjusts my bones. But I would say it's maybe 5 minutes of bone adjustment and like 55 minutes of this stuff, right, with his hands and his machine. So it's so doing this work really helps you to, like, sometimes if it's too intense, you really need somebody else to work on it. But this is such a great way to break up the tense tissues, to get rid of trigger points, and to you know, to avoid having to spend all that money on massage and chiropractors, and really maintain any kind of. So I feel like toward the lower, you can move it down toward the knee now. So I don't feel much here. This one is pretty okay. Let me take one ball out. Yeah, no, when I take one out, it's more intense. So stacking your knees again adds more. And I think, what time is it? Okay, well, we're gonna finish the other side, and then if you're a member of my Clear Vision Club, we have a call in 15 minutes, so I have to be at my desk in 15 minutes. So start by, so you're placing them along if you have two balls, you place them, you know, this is less intense, but I would place them this way. You can do both, but start here, start at the top, and then stack your knees. If you can. If that's too much, you put the other one behind it, or just flat on the floor. Yeah, for me, when I stack them, that's when I feel it. I see there's something in the chat, but I can't read it from this far away, upside down, not upside down, sideways. You know, breathe into the belly. That creates the relaxation response. Yeah, and if you want to move a little bit, add some movement. And then move them a little bit lower. See the middle, this is for me the most intense, kind of right the middle between the hip and the knee. That's where I feel the most. So in yoga, if you do yoga, and you do the stretch where you have a strap and you have the leg all the way straight up, and then you cross it over, right? That one, that's when you feel the outer hip too, or the IT band. That's a really good stretch to do. For most of us, we would need a strap unless you can reach your toes with your hands with a straight leg. Whew. If I had more time, I would do that now afterwards. That would be a really nice one. So yeah, for me, the lower part is like, I can actually really get a little bit more aggressive here. I don't feel that much toward the knees, but it's like right here. This is where, like, for me, it's the most intense. So I hope this was helpful. We're out of time, and I love to do the chat with you guys afterwards, like we did yesterday. We chatted for half an hour after the video was over, but I have to, we have the Clear Vision Club call now in like 14 minutes. And I do want to say, I'm so excited that you all joined me, and I'm so happy that you get some value out of it. And if you're not a member of my Facebook group, See Clearly Without Glasses, please join the group. That's where I post, give support. I know I teach both yoga, this role model method. I teach vision improvement. So if you're on this call this morning, or you're watching this YouTube video later, and you're not you don't have any problems with your vision, then that's totally fine. I will, I haven't had time yet to add all of you that are new to me to my email list, and I'm definitely not going to spam you with any emails, but I will at some point when I have added you, and give you the opportunity to join my my free Facebook group. And also I have a download called 10 Habits for Healthy, Happy Eyes. So if you have vision challenges, or you would like to know more, you have a family member, you can go to my website, myholisticvision.com, myholisticvision.com, and there's a free download. And when you download that, you get added to my email list, and then you find out about my vision improvement work.